I'm Dr. Connie. I'm your host of Mind Your Health podcast. I share my unique perspective both as a practitioner and a patient battling autoimmune condition for over 25 years because I had to figure things out on my own, and my education in my practical approach as a patient allows me to truly integrate it so that you can be whole and the burden of sick care is no longer your own burden to carry. And this is what we help you with in this podcast. Hi, today's episode is all about getting through the hard times despite the dwindling motivation. It's like keeping a flickering candle lit during a storm. And it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. And I've had to do it ever since October of 27th, when I had an opportunity to get an amazing kidney transplant, which then was rejected by my poor body, and multitudes of efforts have been taken to reverse that rejection, but it failed despite all the efforts, and we had to then surgically remove that kidney, and it was a very hard time where I'm a type A person, always on the go, and I couldn't do anything. It was not a good time. And I know many people go through this time and fall really deeply into depression. I've had several calls in the last couple of weeks by people sharing the same story. And what I want to say is that there is no going through the hard times and making it easy. It's going through the hard times knowing that you have to get to the other side. And sometimes it takes a while and it might be grueling. It might get hard or harder before it gets easier. But you have to you have to keep that candle lit. Don't let the fire go out, because every little motivation, I think it's that willingness to live, needs to move on. There were many times that there were some very dark moments where I was okay if I went to sleep and didn't wake up the next day. And that got me really scared. And I remember sharing it with my spouse because I didn't trust myself, because my mind was going and I can feel myself, my energy just giving up on myself. And I just remember feeling so down on myself and completely debilitated because physically I couldn't do much. And at the same time, I didn't know what the hell was going on with me. Tests after tests. And I was just getting sicker and sicker despite all their efforts. And I had the most stellar physicians as a team on rooting for me and taking care of me. And despite that, when the physician tells you that he threw all the science at it, but I'm a unicorn, that in over 30 years of doing the transplants, he's never seen anything like it before. And he still shrugs his shoulders and to say he doesn't know what went wrong. And so now we're holding off on another transplant. But I just want to say that I really did go through that dark, hard moment where I had to figure out how to make it to the other side with no motivation sometimes. So the way you get through it is to allow yourself rest and grace, and just allow yourself that time. And I use that time to just sleep a lot. I couldn't even read. I couldn't even watch TV. I was just so sick and just in bed. And a lot of the times I was in the hospital, some of the times that I mentioned, but in and out of doctor's visits, running a business and having a full team of people working for you and not being able to go and lead the team or be there for your business and running your business, it was just a highly challenging time. And I didn't know if I was going to make it out, and I didn't know how much I would have to, because there was talks about surgically opening me up to remove the kidney, and I didn't know how much more I had in me to suffer more pain because I was in so much pain. I was taking Tylenol as it was, and I wasn't going to be on narcotics for my pain, but it was just that bad. There's going to be a lot of situations in your life where we come across a lot of challenges, and that's just the fact of life. And I think that many of you are going through some things. It may not be a health crisis like me. It may be a relationship breakdown or a financial crisis or a death of a family member. Whatever it may be, I just want you to know there's a way through, and then the way through will kind of create another path so that you can keep going. But the key thing is to keep going. So what do you do? How do you spark motivation? Well, even though I was bedridden, I was constantly doing bridges. I was doing single leg raises. I was doing sit to stand leg extensions and sit to stand squats to make sure that I don't atrophy any more than I have. I was trying to do some sit-ups. I was doing squats when I could with my very, very sore legs because of immunosuppressive medications that made me so weak. I was doing partial squats, doing chaturangas, and doing little things that I can. Just moving my arms up and down like this at times was enough, but I was moving. Even when I was in the hospital, I would walk the hallways, walk the home, and made sure I was remaining active as much as I could, because I know that my physical body, my somatic body needs to stay strong, and the muscles couldn't atrophy any more than they have. And so that was super important to me. And then light stretches around my hips, my joints, my rotation, my spine, my neck, everything to kind of keep mobile, to make sure I flush out the toxins that tend to reside in my joints so that I can preserve the integrity of them, even despite how I felt. That helped me a lot at times, and I did it for my future self. And at the time, I was really feeling so much pity for myself. I felt so bad, and it was really hard for me not to have that victim mindset. And I didn't want to see anybody. I isolated myself, and I became a recluse. And to this day, I struggle to socialize back, but I'm getting better, and I'm back doing all the things today. So I want you to, if you're going through this, I want you to set a routine for every day. Wake up at a certain time. Make sure you brush your teeth. Keep up the personal hygiene. I took a shower every day, changed my clothes, and I made sure all the blankets that I was using was washed up, just so I felt like a fresh person. And then also create some habits to drink the water, take the supplements, and do the things that you need, like coconut water, lemon water in the morning, and then drinking green tea like mid-morning for me, because I couldn't do coffee at that time. My gut was so irritated, and I had a difficult time eating, so I couldn't even cook. And so that explains why I haven't been posting a lot of cooking videos, because appetite has been something that I've been struggling with. And so I became okay with that. I wasn't, at first I was very guilty, and I just couldn't shake that guilt out of me. But today, despite how I feel, whether I'm going to eat or not, whether I have an appetite or not, my love language is service, doing things for other people. And my son and my spouse love the foods that I cook. So I do cook dinners. It's not enjoyable, but I do them anyway. But it helps me to create this routine to make myself productive. And that makes me a sense of accomplishment, or that gives me a sense of accomplishment. As I said, staying as physically active as possible, it does a number on your gut health, as well as physical health, mental and emotional health, which has a compounding effect. And I know that to be true. So make sure you stay active and really focus on self-care and really know what that means. For me, it was all about asking for help. I was bedridden, and if I needed water, I was the type where I would never ask for things. And today, my son or spouse has to get me everything once I sit down on the sofa. And it's like a thing, and I'm still milking it to this day. But that's a nice benefit. And I never realized how helpful people are going to be, not to mention the staff that I work with, the team of people that I work with, the wonderful souls that took over my business and made it their own and took care of it while I was gone. Just so grateful for the special souls, and that leads me to just having gratitude anyway. At first, it was really forced gratitude with a lot of tears and resistance, because I was just really angry and not in a good mood. I was up and down, especially with the prednisone. That'll do it to you. But I started to really feel gratitude. And the other thing that I did as I laid there as much as I could was I would put my soundproof earphones on, and I would just put on some YouTube visualization or healing visualization meditations, and I did them over and over again. Now, when I was doing them, I don't know how much of it helped because I fell asleep most of the time, but it's something that I did. And I'm just letting you know of this because somehow, some way, I got through those dark times. And while I'm not completely out of the woods, I am so thankful I'm not bedridden. I have the energy to go from morning, like I woke up this morning at 3:30, and I'll probably go until 10 o'clock. And I have the energy and the spark and the motivation and the passion to keep going. And I have the focus, which I didn't before. And so when you make it to the other side, you're going to think to yourself, well, one foot in front of the other, that's all you can focus on. And that's okay. And I want you to know there will be, if there's no light, there will be a light at the end of the tunnel, because there really was no hope for me. And here I am writing about this and sharing this story on my podcast so that you can benefit from it. So I said, you want to establish some routine so that you can get up and do the same things that serves you. Like lemon water was something that I did, brushing my teeth, and then oil pulling, and then also making my green tea, taking my supplements that I needed to mitigate the risks of the medications approved by my pharmacist, and then moving, actively engaging in my body, and then really moving my body, as well as visualizing my healing, listening to visualization meditations. I just found them on YouTube, and I just listened to them because I thought that would be super helpful. And then the other thing that I told you was to ask for help. It's okay, because I know that if you're like anything like me, we're not used to asking for help. It almost feels really bad when somebody else does something. I don't know how to accept it really well. And then now I've gotten a lot better and not have expectations for myself, and I don't have this urgent need to please anybody or explain myself in any way, shape, or form. And then the other thing is really focusing on your self-care and making sure that you take this time to get through this and really do anything that feels good for you. And if that means just laying in bed and resting, well, then that's what you need. Because sometimes, despite our intentions, our body gives up. And that's what happened to me. And when that happens, you just got to allow your body to heal. But the other times that you're up, it may be just time passing by. So do whatever you can to mitigate the risks with no expectations and no pressure on yourself to do the things. Because some days you're going to want to do nothing. And you know what? That's okay. That's a normal part or process of healing. So I think that covered all the bases that I wanted to cover in terms of really, really getting through the hard times when there's dwindling motivation. And so if you've gone through something like this and you know some things that's helped and you know that that can help many people, please comment below, share that with me so that I can share with everybody else, and let's go help as many people as possible. But I want to just cheer you on to say, just make it through one step in front of the other. Even though you don't see the light, there will be a light. And I didn't think I would get here, but I did because I stuck through it. So thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys all next week. Thank you for listening to the Mind Your Health podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, we would so much love it and appreciate it if you share it with someone who could benefit as well as to subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else where podcasts are found. And leave us a review. We would be so grateful, and it helps us to reach more people just like you, so you can become more empowered to enjoy longevity and health. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Dr. Connie Chung. And of course, you can subscribe to this podcast for a new episode every single